Hey everyone, it's Cleveland here. No, my voice doesn't sound different. It's all in your head. I've got another 60 seconds match for you guys. This is Utopian Dusk versus Vampiric Mage. And Utopian, as he usually does, brings a Storm Dragon book. For those who don't know, this is also Nahelon Valar. And Vampiric Mage is our tag running full blood. So it's a pretty interesting game. We'll see how it goes. And yes, I am a little bit sick. So sorry about that, guys. Slowly getting my voice back. But, you know, you got to get the art content out there, right? So, we're going to see how this game goes. As we know, Valar is someone who just loves the kind of original spells playstyle, the OG kind of mechanics and gameplay. And is, you know, maybe not to say that he's not accustomed to the new spells, but he's pretty averse to those types of playstyles and will encourage nerfs or in some cases just removal of certain spells or mechanics that are new. So yeah, Valar's an arc conservative, as you might call him. So what we're seeing here is a full blood strategy. What do? Well, you just hide, you set up. He gets a favorable spawn here, right? He just heals, takes some of his familiar, right? Gets a bank out, and what are his next moves? Like, if you had to just kind of telegraph his next 10 moves. Well, he's going to stay in his tower, he's going to re-up his mist when it's off, he's going to re-up his blood bank when it dies, he's going to get a gargoyle out, get a vampire out, get another gargoyle out, morph those gargoyles, and he also has a sneaky strategy up his sleeve, which I'll show you guys. It'll obviously come real soon here. And actually, as I just said it, this is his sneaky strategy. So what did he just do right there? I'm going to pause real quick. So he had a gargoyle, he used Blood Pact, and Blood Pact is a familiar spell level 5 Blood Pact. It doesn't show you the description, but basically I'll tell you that it splits health with the caster, and he used it on his gargoyle. So what it also does, in addition to splitting health with the caster, is it splits any damage that is done. So now an aura will do 7 health to Zartak, and 7 health to the pacted minion or pacted player. Or a Mega Boulder might do 50 damage to Zartak, 50 damage to the pacted player or minion, right? But another sort of cheeky thing is that he's pacted his Garg, so whenever his Garg heals, Zartak also heals that same amount. Pretty crazy. So the Garg will heal half what it usually does, and Zartak will heal the other half. As you can see. So they're both at 169, and they both go up to 181, and then he heals 10 from the Blood Mist to go up to 191. So, some pretty sneaky, cool mechanics. And the problem for Valar here is the aura is not enough. Like, the damage is super low that he can do to Zartak right now. So his game plan is, okay, he doesn't have flight, so I'm just going to wait out until Arma, and then in the end game, I'll win always, because, you know, he doesn't have flight, and if there's no map left, then, like, I'll win. Problem for Valar is that Zartak has some pretty threatening minions that can fly, such as the vampire and the gargoyle, and also he's got that pacted Garg in a pretty comfortable position, hidden at the bottom of the map. Valar is someone who doesn't typically take pebbles, right? And so if you are in a situation where you get a bad map gen, and then you don't really make an effort to prevent your opponent's setup, then that's going to be difficult to deal with. And what you'll realize here too is Valar has a pretty unique book. I won't reveal his spells. A couple of his flex spells that are pretty unique, but it's one those are flex spells that could work in some cases, but in this case they don't benefit him really that much. Murky does tend to be a pretty open map, but you can at times have some like caves and stuff, funny spawns like Zartak did here. So what's his plan? Well, he can just whittle away at everything with the minions. He allows the flash off for the vampire, so I think that's a blunder by Zartak there. He maybe could have just tucked it into this little cubby here where I'm pinging, and then like blood crazed the Cyclops. But Valar counter blunders, as I like to call it, the epic counter blunder, and actually the Thundershock doesn't knock him. So, oh man, hopefully I don't lose my voice back again. But this shock doesn't knock him, and he goes for the blood craze, which now does deprot again. There was a time where it didn't deprot for a while. Initially it did, and then it didn't, and now it's back to deprotting. So, just trying to figure out how to balance that spell. So here, Valar doesn't have many options. He wants to protect himself from the vampire. Honestly there, I don't know why he doesn't just shock bomb it. Maybe it's a bit tricky to lob that, right? But it might have been a play. Even just to suicide, shock bomb suicide. But, or actually, he could have just lusted it. Or no, was it at 75? If it was at 75, he couldn't, but I was thinking, yeah, shock bomb or kill it. But instead he chooses to wait a turn. So, and here I guess, yeah, it's hard to like shock bomb stick something like that. So he might have to use a tree. But maybe he doesn't have tree, I'm not sure yet. If he has tree, it's a good move, yeah. So, just limiting the movement of the minions, right? And you'll notice here, the Garg is 250, and so is Zartak. So the Garg is now healing every turn, max health is 250, and he's going to start to free his gargoyles and make his way toward Valar. Pretty busted kind of mechanic if you can, if you're allowed the setup. But typically if you have any sort of rush book or even just pebbles, or even like a rush spell, you don't even need like a rush book, but just like something to dig to the player, and then like a decently damaging spell like a shock bomb or clog, then basically you're screwed as full blood. It's pretty weak. But in situations like this where you allow the setup, you're sitting pretty, baby. You're sitting pretty. So, right now, Zartak is planning to just dig out with the totem, hit Valar with the Garg, and just chill. Okay, so he realizes that the Garg can't quite fit. I would have probably moved that totem back inside the mist, but he probably kills it with the shock shield anyway. And then he resurrects the vampire, another pretty busted element of full blood. Again, not really busted, but if you allow the setup, and then they're able to get the res off when they're already up a few minions, it's pretty busted. It's a full health vampire that he can resurrect, use twice. So as you guys know now, one of Valar's flex spells is Lust, and the other's Mushrooms. Unfortunately for him, this doesn't quite work out in his favor. If one of those flex spells was Pebbles, and he didn't have Mushrooms, for example, I feel like he wins this matchup. But because he goes a little bit more conservative with the playstyle, and perhaps doesn't expect a off-meta book, he's in some trouble. So he chooses to lust both the Garg and Zartak, which is a good play, because actually lusting both of them does full damage to both. But if he lusts one of them and doesn't damage the other, the damage is split. So, pretty neat. Also the healing from, it's like a blood bank, I think that familiar allows some healing from percentage of damage done. So like, he did that lust there and the Garg healed 6 health. So that's how blood gets some of its healing, if it has familiar stacks. Yeah. Each level applies a stack of bleed. And infections through contact last a minimum of your familiar level. Res minions start with more health. Blood mist, blood pact. Okay. So, you can see that Zartak's still gaining health from that Garg, which has just been sitting there for the last 20 turns, right? And now Valar's kind of on his back foot. He's going to maybe go for a shock bomb, or he decides to just do one BFTP and maybe a second one after this. I was a little skeptical of Zartak's positioning there because he sat on top of the Gargoyle, right? So the reason why that's not good is because I mentioned before. What happens is Valar could go over and lust it, and he lusts both of them and it does max damage. It does all 70, instead of splitting the damage between the pacted minion and the player. Because they're on top of each other, right? The AoE hits both. So now he can't get there with the shock shield. Again, because he doesn't have pebbles, this kind of sucks. He could use shock bomb, but feels kind of shitty to use a shock bomb because it's only 4 uses. So, lesson learned, I guess, here. Pebbles is a really valuable spell. Just a flexible one. Imagine if he had something like, Mega Boulder or DMB or something really, something like really rush oriented. But really, I think the main issue with the book was not having pebbles and also just getting a bad map gen. Zartak had a favorable spawn, right? So here he could go for the flash, which I was thinking he was doing, but instead he does the dragon. I can show you guys the flash too, and as I suggested, I'll edit it out as well. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the flash. Maybe. We can try. Does this work? Looks like it would. Not quite. It's pretty... Okay, maybe if he has flight, right, he could do that. But it looks fairly possible. I just wanted to try that once to see if I could do it. But... Alright, so we'll load back in and see what he does. So he pulls out the Storm Dragon. And here, I don't know, I mean, it doesn't really do damage to him. So I think Zartak's just going to go for a less knock, get some nice damage off, knock him into the storm, and hope for a sink. And he does get a sink, and in classic Valar fashion, he resigns the game. Oh, too good. But I just wanted to highlight this for you guys because Nahelon just is a content fountain. So whenever he loses, he just like rages a lot, and also features some pretty interesting like book matchups because he always takes some pretty meta stuff and sometimes faces some off meta kind of wackiness. and here it didn't go too well for him, and he got styled on by Zartak with the 250 health Pacted Gargoyle. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.